Hi, this is Kendall, and this is Labyrinth of Shadows. This is the second game in the Delve in Your Pocket series. And in this video, I'll give you an overview of the game, including how it plays differently than the first game, and then walk through a few rounds so you can see it in action. So, like the first game, it is a solo dungeon crawl that you can play anywhere. It's easy to save your spot and pick up later. And even though this is the second game in the series, you don't have to have played the first one. Labyrinth of Shadows is a completely standalone game. So this is a work in progress, so check for the latest version. And if you subscribe, you won't miss updates on this or other projects I'm working on. I want to mention this is entered in the Board Game Geek Roll and Write Game Design Contest, and I will link to the work in progress thread in the description. So there are some major differences from the first game. This time, instead of one sheet, there are two, and one of them is a full map of the maze. They are both folded the same way in the pocket fold format. So I'll quickly show how to print, fold, and cut those. And right now I have US letter, but A4 should be coming soon. And then like I did for Unbound Hollow Deep, I'm planning an Unbound Labyrinth edition for Substack subscribers. And I'll have that Substack link as well. You can sign up for monthly-ish updates, and I have bonus content in that welcome email. But anyway, let's show you how this prints. You do need to pay attention to the orientation. So your story page is printed this way. You'll have this sheet printed so the encounters are here. Basically so that you can fold it properly. So you'll have folds and then a cut on this piece here, and then it can fold up in the center. For the maze sheet, it's the same thing, but you'll want the Roman numerals and the letters face up on one side and then face up the same orientation. And then it's also the same fold so that you can cut this middle piece. And the map is functioned so that there will be ways that you transition from one panel to the next based on how you fold. And I will demo that a little bit more too. You play as Kaylin again, picking up where the last game left off. And the back cover gives the intro. You're searching for the Citadel of the Pale Eye. And the only path forward is through the Labyrinth of Shadows. Its halls contain 20 shards of the eye stone. These are crystals that no one has ever successfully collected. And then as you are playing through the game, these small blue letters indicate when to read from the narrative. So this is the back cover intro, and then these other ones are all on the story page. Each turn begins in the maze. You roll a die, a d6, to start randomly on one of the Roman numerals. There's 3 on each side around the edge. And then anytime you navigate through and you collect a crystal, you will write its letter under the encounter that you're on these crystals here. That just makes it easy to find your place if you pause. And then as you are playing each encounter here, you have the option to roll for a prompt, and it makes the story just a little more fun. So say I rolled a 2 and a 5, I would have a distorted troll, and I would write distorted troll here on turn 1, and then you are ready for the actual encounter. So you actually roll 3 dice, and you can record those numbers on the encounter log here, and then you get up to 2 re-rolls. Your goal is to get 2 of your dice to meet the requirements of the encounter. So the encounter will show either a Sigma symbol, which means sum, or a delta, this triangle, which means difference. And it will also require the result of those two dice to either be equal, equal to, greater than, equal to, or less than equal to. Less than, I've put in red just so that it stands out more. So you will roll your dice. So for turn one, your chosen two dice have to be 10 or higher because the sum inside of these brackets equals 10. And these numbers in brackets are also doom numbers. And if any of these numbers are showing at the end of your rolling, then it will deal damage. So since 7 is not on a d6, just the 1 and 2 are relevant here. And then red values in the brackets are sealed doom, which means if that number is rolled, you can't re-roll that die. So you would have to take damage, or you would have to use an item or an ability to adjust the value there. So for an example, if you on turn one, after 3 rolls, say you ended up with a 1, 4, and a 5, the best sum you could get would be a 9. So it's 1 shy of the 10 that you need. So the difference is what you would take in damage. So you'd have 1 damage. Plus, if you have this 1, that's a doom number. So you would take 2 damage or lose 2 health, and you would cross them out over here. If you have a treasure icon on the right side, that means your unused die, in this case the 1, you would write in a 1, and then in a future turn, if you're not getting the numbers you want, you can cross it out and use the 1, or basically use a treasure value for your roll. After you've resolved the encounter, you can interpret what happened using the facet wheel over here. So this is similar to the first game, where you look at the dice you used and you look at where those are at, and you're figuring out what happened. You obviously took 2 damage in this example, so it would be something less than perfect, but you would look for attributes or weapons, and maybe in this case you used your cloak, which is next to the 4 here. You were hiding from the troll, but you tripped as you were trying to escape. And, maybe the longbow, which is also tied to the 4, it helped you finish off the troll, but you took some hits first. So just an example. But yeah, once you have navigated the full maze, you've collected all 20 of the crystals, you would move on to the final set of encounters. This basically turn 20 through 25 is the final encounter. And if you can survive with at least 1 health, then you win. I also want to show just a few new icons for this game. So you have keys. These help unlock doors in the maze, like this right here. These also work as a treasure, so you would roll to get a random treasure number. Then you have insight. This allows you to adjust a die by +1 or -1, and adjustments wrap. So a 6 can become a 1 and vice versa. You start with 2 available, and then you would circle to add more, and then you just cross out as you're using them. If you ever gain all 7 and use them, you would heal 1 health. Sanity. This lets you use doubles to automatically pass an encounter. Even if those doubles match doom numbers, they wouldn't count as doom. And the first 2 uses are free. Then you would require 1 treasure, 2 treasure, and then this final one would require 2 health to use. Favor is gained when you lose health. So as you lose a health, you would actually circle and gain a favor, and then you would cross out to use. So you can spend favor to flip a die to its opposite. So for example, a 5 to a 2. And that's kind of what these are. So just to reiterate, doom numbers, they only cause damage when they come from rolled dice. If you adjust a die or you substitute a dice with a die with treasure, those values wouldn't trigger doom damage. Okay, I will show a few turns without dice. So this has the Bard system, the business card alternate for rolling dice. I'll show a few turns, and then it is more fun if you have physical dice available. So I'll show a few turns there. But if you, as you're going through the narrative, there's a chance for gaining items or abilities. You have this blank space here that you can write those in. Okay, to use the Bard system, you can use any business card and just make some marks on it. I've demoed this before, but in this game, you would only need to roll 3 at a time. So the highest you would need would be these 3 dashes. But you can also roll 2 dice at a time, or just roll them 1 and fill them in as you go. But this is my business card. This is an item that works with game 1. But anyway, to start us off, we're gonna get a random entry point. So we would close our eyes and use the Bard system here, and that is right between a 6 and a 2. So actually, I'm gonna go again. All right, that's a 4. So we would find the 4, which is right here. This would be our entry point. We can come through here. We're going to collect this key. So we'll circle to add. And let's see here. Yeah, we will go this way. These double arrows mean you can cross over. Normally you can't cross where these folds are. These panels are separate, but the double arrows help show. But yeah, we're going to, let's see. We're going to come through here and we'll start at H. So we'll write H down here and let's roll a couple dice and figure out some prompts. So we have a 6 and a 1. So 6 is Twisted Wraith. I like to do a circle and then I cross it out for the next turn. So we've got a Twisted Wraith. So already we're running into some dangerous stuff in the maze. So we need to roll. So 2 of our dice have to be 10 or higher. We're going to roll 3 at a time here. And we've got a 4, 4, 1. I like to just write them in. If you're using physical dice, you don't have to write them as much because you can work with them, but you're trying to keep these in your head. So, all right, we have a 1, so we're going to want to re-roll that. That's a doom number. 4 and a 4 is 8. We need to be 10. So maybe, sorry, I'm not using physical dice. So maybe we'll keep a 4 and we'll re-roll 2. So we'll use the 2 marks here. And what is that? A 1 and a 5. Okay. I probably should have re-rolled that 4. Just, I've got one more re-roll. Right now we're at a 9. Let's keep the 5. That's pretty good. Let's re-roll this 4 and this 1. So rolling 2 more dice. And that is a 6 and a 3. Okay, so we don't have any doom numbers. 5 and 6 together is 11. It meets the criteria. So we can cross this out. Basically, we're not taking any damage. And then the unused die is a 3. This will be saved for later. And then we can interpret what happened. This last turn, getting a 6 really pulled us through. So I would look at the facet wheel here and the 6. So the Twisted Wraith, maybe I was able to use my battle lore, my knowledge, and I was able to figure out how to escape without getting caught, or if I were to engage it, maybe I got a good shot in. But anyway, you can interpret that as it is. So we would move on to the next turn, and we would pick up from where we left off. So for H, I can backtrack. I do want to demo how this folds. So we could use our key and pass through there. I think we'll save it. And if it's on the top side, it'll align to the bottom of another page. So this will line up here with this one. If I were to go here, it's actually going to be on the opposite side of the sheet. So we can, let's see, we can fold. There we go. So we can go through here. That's one option. I could also go up, which would look something like this. So yeah, I think I would, yeah, let's go this way. So we're going up. We're not going to use that portal. This just transports you to that panel. And we're going to come up. We'll collect another key, which is good. And now, well, I guess we're kind of stuck here, aren't we? Yeah, I don't want to use a portal. So we're actually going to backtrack. We are going to go this way. So let's see. So we'll go through here. And yeah, let's go to N. And it looks like this is also a dead end, so we'll have to backtrack here. But we will fill that in. That is how you use the Bard system. Now let's use some physical dice, and I'll show you how this works. So let's roll 2 for our prompt. Got a 6 and a 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a venomous. 1, 2, 3, lurker. Venomous lurker. Some of these may not line up as well, and you have full liberty to make up your own or to, pick the next one or something like that. But we'll run with it. Okay, so this one, 2 of our dice have to be less than 5. So the sum of these. If I roll a 3, it gets stuck. Okay, so we like this one. That's nice. We don't like these. So notice I don't really have to write these in as much. I can just re-roll these. All right, so we've got the 2 1s and we have a 6. Now imagine that these had been, let's say, two 6s. Just for example's sake, I'm like, yeah, I've ran out of rolls. I've got 2 6s. I could actually use this doubles and cross out a sanity. So for the sake of it, let's say that's what I rolled. I'm still taking no damage, but actually, let's say we got a damage as well. Yeah, so let's say we ended up with this. I'm going to use a sanity. It doesn't cost anything. If these were doom numbers, it wouldn't affect me, but they're not. This one is a doom number, so I'm going to take a damage, but I also want to demo that this gives me a favor. So now I can flip a die if I wanted to its opposite face. Okay, so that is how you play that. I will skip the narrative element of the facet wheel just to speed this up. And yeah, let's say I've moved on to the next crystal. Again, just speeding this up. And now I need a difference of 1. So this one I would, again, get 3 rolls. I've lucked out on my first roll, and I am set there. And I forgot to record my treasure. In my example, I used the doubles, and the 2 is what I would have stored. So the 2 would have been that. But I want to show how a treasure works. So say I didn't get what I needed. I could substitute one of my dice. So say I got a 4, 4, and a 1. This is a good example. 4, 4, and a 1. I could use a sanity and it would pass, but I'm still going to take damage here. One thing I've got is a 3 here. If I cross out the 3 and I can write it in and cross out the die I'm replacing, now I no longer have this 1 that would cause us damage. It also gives us the difference between dice equaling 1. So this would like help us. It is using a treasure, but that works out. And then our unused die would be a 4, but we don't have a treasure over here. So that is kind of how the game functions. So if you survive all of the encounters, you have at least 1 health left, then you win the game. And then there's an optional scoring. You would add up any unused treasure. You would also add up any unused inventory items over here and calculate your score. And then in the rules doc, there's a ranking that you can read and see how well you did. So I also wanted to show that there is a summary of the game loop. And then if you want, you can scan to look at the full rules. I'll have a QR code for the full rules document. And then this will be linked to an overview video, either this video or a better one if I make one later. So that is the game. If you appreciate games like this, I design games with minimal components. So consider subscribing, and a like on this video will help more people interested in this type of content to find it. Thanks for checking out Labyrinth of Shadows. I would love feedback and questions either here on YouTube or as a post in the work in progress thread on BGG. Until next time, thanks.